What do you think? Is it a superpower to the humanity, or it's going to be a threat?
If I had to come up with one word, I'd probably say uneven.
Great. Both. You can't model faster than Excel. You cannot code or synthesize data into actions faster than AI.
AI as a whole. I think it is something that's going to superpower humans. But again, it depends on whether or not you embrace it.
Quickly,
The way that
get your perspective on what's the one common misconception about the AI agents in today.
Yeah, I think one common misconception about AI and agents in particular is the idea that one size can fit all, and take something off the shelf and employ it within your workflow.
is people expect AI to be a magic bullet, that it's going to solve all your problems.
In the wealth management industry, I think the misconception is that it's ready to be client facing. It's nowhere close.
Biggest point everybody is thinking about, right? How much we can control, how much autonomousity we should give it to the AI agents. The time and again, that question is coming up. So
the short answer is absolutely. AI can perform your job a lot better than you can.
I can tell you exactly where AI does not fit, why you need that human in the loop.
You're going to need more of a human interaction on the wealth management side at 401 Financial. So anyway, long-winded answer, but I think more agentic on the crypto side, less on the wealth management side, but the human will never be removed in wealth management.
So let's launch the session here. Welcome everybody. Yeah, AI agents, they are not science fiction anymore. I think it's here. We are all seeing it. It's in our inboxes, it's in our workflows, and it's in our boardrooms, in our investment strategies. So the big question is, are they our superpower? Are they a threat to the community and the humankind? So that's where we are going to explore today. We have our panelists and the leaders who are spearheading the efforts in their respective industries. We would be asking all the controversial questions and the empathetic questions to them. With that, I would like to introduce, as I'm saying, we'll do the quick introductions and we jump right away into the topic. Tyrone, start with you. Please introduce.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Tyrone Ross. First and foremost, I am the son of superhero parents Tyrone and Tyrone Ross Sr. and Carol Ross. I am the CEO and founder of 401 Financial, a registered investment advisor based here in San Diego, and Turnqey Labs, which is a crypto data company. Think Plaid meets Duolingo for financial advisors. Happy to be here and share my thoughts of what I'm seeing, not only in my business, but personally with using AI and what the future looks like. That is obviously here, but not equally accessible to all, which I'm passionate about. So thank you for having me.
Super, Tyrone. Thank you. Yashar?
Hi, my name is Yashar, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Notora AI, and we're building the business operating system that turns meetings, notes, and decisions into immediate execution, where you use agents to act in real time, not after the fact. And so we believe that the future work isn't about more dashboards or more summaries, but it's a real-time AI orchestration embedded into how teams already work. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Welcome. Jerry?
Jerry Yen, CEO of Advice Analytics, where we do AI consulting for healthcare, fintech, and a variety of different industries. I invented military-grade rocket trajectory optimization algorithms. 4.0, haven't splashed a rocket. Also created algorithms, pricing algorithms for Hewlett-Packard, helped them get to back to number one market share. And investment and lead generation algorithms and AI for fintech, working with Schwab, Paychex, and a number of others, as well as an AI vibe coder and agent creator for things like crypto scoring for Turnqey and other odds and ends for different folks, and for myself as well, for my son and for my wife as well, who wanted a little app to do some of our social media posting, and you can create anything now with AI. Let's go.
Thanks, Jerry. For any of you, if you don't know me, this is Jithendra Ganji, CEO, founder of TechGrit. We are helping our customers with the integrating AI products or developing AI products for them. And today we have the right panel. This is a powerhouse. We are going to have a next 30 to 45 minutes interactive conversation. And I'm looking at the Zoom chart as well as the LinkedIn chart for any questions. And I will be asking on behalf of them. So with that, we are going to talk about the control versus autonomy to the trust and responsibility and what's the impact on the economy, as well as what's the future looking like for that. With that, I'd like to start with all the panelists, start opening questions about one word or the phrase about what do you think? Is it a superpower to the humanity, or it's going to be a threat? Start with Jerry. I'd like to hear your thoughts on.
Great. Both. You can't model faster than Excel. You cannot code or synthesize data into actions faster than AI. But humans can read the room. They can be contrarian. They can make non-intuitive choices. They can ask the right questions. So you can be both. It really depends on the human and who are you competing with, and what is your goal? Head to head against AI, just like I can't run against Tyrone, I would get my butt beat off. You can't go faster than AI. So there you go.
Thank you, Jerry. Tyrone?
If I had to come up with one word, I'd probably say uneven. I think a lot of the use, the development, understanding is happening at the top, and I think this is only going to widen the wealth gap in this country, which I'm very concerned about, especially as a Black American. I am feverishly trying to get Black people to understand the importance of this, especially children having access. And it is alarming because you're starting to see people who are at the tip of the spear with AI already teaching it to their children. They are having their kids use it. They're teaching them to code and everything else. And I have 3 young great nephews, and I think about exposing this to them as well, because there's already an issue, especially with Black boys in America being left behind due to lack of their ability to read. So that, I think, only gets widened by AI. Why I'm incredibly excited about it, and I do use it. The more I use it, the more it is apparent to me that it is going to only augment, right? Augmented intelligence to people that are incredibly smart, but it's going to leave people that are behind now already further behind if we don't do something about it.
Thank you, Tyrone. Yashar?
Yeah, so I can't top what Tyrone and Jerry said. So I'll just say what I think of AI as a whole. I think it is something that's going to superpower humans. But again, it depends on whether or not you embrace it. The way that we look at AI is that it is a system that observes, reasons, and acts autonomously or semi-autonomously towards a goal. But that's all driven by the human being at the center. They have to be at the helm. And what we do at Notora is we've built agents that operate within those real organizational strengths, where we believe that humans should be nudged, not told what to do, but nudged. Because again, it's all about the human making the right decision, and so that they can execute the next steps, escalating when things are needed. The way we kind of like to look at it is, you can look at AI as an operations on autopilot, but the human here is the co-pilot in some ways. But again, the human has to be part of the equation.
Awesome. I know I was thinking that we are going to split the room and we are going to have a controversial debate, but that's more it's a pro as well as the cons. We are talking about it. There is no absolute superpower or absolute threat. It is need to be governed and designed and achieve what we need to achieve. It's going to augment the human intelligence. So with that, building on that, would like to quickly get your perspective on what's the one common misconception misconception about the AI agents in today? I'll start with Jerry.
Yeah, I think one common misconception about AI and agents in particular is the idea that one size can fit all, that you can take something off the shelf and then employ it within your workflow. I think the start has to be with your current workflow. Understand what you're doing today, and you have a choice. You can actually look at the
Mhm.
AI agent and insert it into the current workflow. So you're forcing the AI agent into your workflow, or you're redesigning the workflow to fit the agent. But the real benefit that comes from any company or for any company is to actually re-engineer workflows. Do you really need to do that step that you had to take because a human was on vacation, you needed to check on someone else, and this person needed to come in because they had 10 years of experience and it's all in their head? Or can you actually redesign that where all the data is at their fingertips and they can go ahead and make that decision, or at least inform the human to make that decision? The workflow changes. But what that also means is that you have to really understand where and what your data is. Where is it from? How current it is? How clean it is? Now, the data, garbage in, garbage out, data, good data in, leads to better agent actions or insights that would deliver into the human. So for me, I think it's really that the misconception is it's the AI agent, when really the start is, what is the flow? What is the data? That, let's start from the beginning. And that really will provide better outputs towards the end.
Awesome. Yashar?
Yeah, I'm going to build on what Jerry said, but I'll start with this: is people expect AI to be a magic bullet, that it's going to solve all your problems and you're good to go.
Mhm.
And we see this with a lot of enterprises have attempted to adopt AI, and then they tack on this band-aid and they say, oh yeah, we have AI. But in reality, they have zero understanding, because that AI is not solving their problem. To Jerry's point, it wasn't optimized for their workflow. It did not take into consideration the existing tools that they use. It did not take into consideration the existing frameworks that they use. And so, as someone said that at a Fortune 500 company that we spoke to, is that enterprise companies need to have solutions that are solving their specific edge cases. And that's where AI can shine, if you deploy this accurately. If you don't, you're just going to be someone else who's going to be, angry with AI. You're going to go on LinkedIn, go on X, and you're going to rant about it and say, oh, AI is terrible. It didn't solve my problems.
Awesome. Tyrone?
So I I have a bunch here as far as misconceptions. So I think I'm going to niche down here I'm going to try to give a couple examples. But first, quickly, is in the wealth management industry, I think the misconception is that it's ready to be client facing. It's nowhere close.
Mhm.
It's not
Right.
even close to being ready to put in front of clients. And anybody that thinks that is completely misled. Putting this in front of, not only is it a compliance risk, but it's just not good enough yet, especially
Mhm.
agents. That's the first thing, right? And I say this as OpenAI is sitting here with what, 700 weekly users, right? But that's a completely different experience than a wealth management experience. So I think in financial services, it's not ready for prime time to be client facing. I think the second thing, misconception, is people don't realize that you can use it to literally expand where you have an unfair skill set. They're using
Mhm.
it to, oh, I can use, oh, now I can learn to code, or now I can learn to train like an Olympic sprinter, but you're still going to be average at that. You're just going to know more about it. But if I take what I'm already good at, and then I use the AI to expand what I'm already dominant in, that's how
Mhm.
people should be using it. But it seems the majority of people are using it to go, oh, well, I'm not a technical founder. I could be technical now. I'm not a technical founder, and I go right to the edge and I go, all right, it's things here that I don't completely understand. Jerry, help out, right? So, but when I use it in areas where I already have domain expertise or I have experience, right? By the way, AI is shining a bright light on the fact that there's a difference between experience and expertise. You can have 12 years experience, but that 1 year every 12 years, or you can have expertise in a particular area that now I can sit and talk to AI and I can start to demonstrate these things in a way and articulate it. So that's where I think the biggest misconception is people need to double down on their strengths with AI, not trying to nibble on the edges of something that they're going to get more information that they can comprehend and use effectively.
Awesome. That sets the tone for our conversation. We'll go deeper into the few key aspects of AI agents. So with that, now first theme I would like to address on the control versus autonomy. That's the biggest point everybody is thinking about, right? How much we can control, how much autonomy we should give it to the AI agents. The time and again that question is coming up. So with that, I would like to start with Yashar, from the perspective about the Notora AI. If an AI agent can perform a task better and faster than a human, right? Why still require human approval? Right, from your perspective, how do you strike that right balance between the right how much involvement of the AI and the human should have it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the short answer is absolutely. AI can perform your job a lot better than you can.
Mhm.
But knowing how to do it does not equate to understanding. And this is where domain-specific nuance still lives within humans. Unless you operationalize that into an agent, which is what we do at Notora, but you still need the human as part of it. I'll give an example. I'm going to use Tyrone as an example. Tyrone knows the financial world a lot better than most humans on this planet. Can AI have the knowledge? Sure. But does it understand when to apply those rules, when to apply those nuances? And the answer is absolutely not, because AI is not, it does not have reinforcement learning. This whole conversation about the AGI that we're going to achieve AGI, it's a lie. We are on the track we're going on right now. It is not going towards AGI. It's just more training. And every single day when there's more information that's being released and created, you have to train the AI on that new information. Now, unless someone comes along and creates actual neural networks that understands and in real time, where you don't have to train it on billions of parameters, the answer will always be that humans will always be better equipped to make those nuanced choices and those decisions, which is why the human has to be part of the whole ecosphere.
Thanks, Yashar. Tyrone. Yeah, please.
Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry.
Oh, I was just going to throw this in. So I also serve as the CTO for Turnqey, and I'll tell you, working with Tyrone, I can tell you exactly where AI does not fit, why you need that human in the loop, which is the start of that loop, the vision, the nuanced understanding, the domain expertise. An industry and a field so well, you see the gaps, you know where to go, and the audacity to actually pursue it. When Tyrone says, "Yeah, I got this crazy idea, let's go," and he only gives me a part of it. I mean, I don't see how it, like, we don't see that today, right? That doesn't happen today, whether it's agentic AI or ChatGPT or any whatever version they're coming out with. You can't see that. Now, here's where it really helps, though, in terms of augmentation. So to exactly Tyrone's point and to Yashar's point, which is I've got a technical background. I haven't necessarily dived into that technical background. Where AI really helped me was bring me back to that technical background, which I have a good foundation for, and just boom, elevated that. And that was really fun. And that has been really fun. And now I can actually produce or try to produce and keep up with some of the visionary thoughts, for example, that Yashar has or that Tyrone has, and produce materials for that. And that's where I think it's been very, very powerful, human in the loop. So that that's where it's an amazing, powerful tool to get there, right? And I'm better informed now by every action, in every action by AI.
But as we train over the period of time and AIs can perform, right, give the better judgment than the human in the high stake fields like crypto or the financial side, Tyrone, what do you see that at some point you will be giving a full autonomous to the AI agents, or do you still go with the human in the loop with the empathetic way of doing it?
So it's funny that you mentioned that. You're going to need more of a human interaction on the wealth management side at 401 Financial. I think at some point, especially, there's no better marriage that is going to happen than crypto and AI, because you're dealing with so much unstructured data. You're dealing with blockchains that run 24/7, 365. You're dealing with an enormous amount of activity from different bridges, different chains, different people, where it should all be run by agents. Every crypto company over the next 10 years should be decreasing their headcount, right? And increasing the amount of agents that use, because it already happens now where it's on Farcaster. If anyone is interested in this at all, it's happening on Farcaster where agents are just trading with one another. They're funding accounts, they're opening accounts, they're doing all this. To see that happen in real time, I mean, actually see it, not hear about it like I'm saying it. When you see this happen in real time, their agents are actually trading with one another and going back and forth. It is incredible. So I think you'll see more agentic AI and use in crypto because it just makes sense, right? Now, could crypto use more empathy? Sure. But I think as Turnkey starts to evolve, and I've already had this conversation with Jerry and just a team in general, there is just certain things that agents should be doing that we should be out of the way of, that should be updating us. Hey, that API that we're connected to just updated, we should update too. There's different specs. We should do this, right? They should be able to forecast, okay, well, this license is coming to an end. We just renewed it, right? And then we made the change, and you can see it. By the way, we put a note in the CRM. So now we're just running the business. So anyway, long-winded answer, but I think more agentic on the crypto side, less on the wealth management side, but the human will never be removed in wealth management.
Thank you. Yashar, what's your perspective from the workflow automation's perspective? At some point, are you seeing that you're going to have a complete autonomous agents, or are you still wanted to have a human interaction?
That's a great question because mistakes can happen, right? And we've seen this. There was a judge who actually cited a law that occurred in the 1950s. Only it was AI that was, doing, being delusional, basically, coming up with something that was untrue. But that's because the AI and all AI has been created and trained in such a way to provide an answer that sounds reasonable, sounds correct, to satisfy the end user. And the approach that we've taken at Notora is that we don't have an agent that does a lot of things. We have a lot of agents, but each agent is very hyper-focused on one thing. And so because it has that hyper-focusedness, it is able to perform a lot better on that one task. And because it can point to your existing documentation, you are now providing safeguards within that agent's realm, right? You're not telling the agent, hey, here's a whole universe, go pick whatever you want and come up with an answer. That leads to a lot of mistakes. So that's why we've built our platform in such a way where each agent is focused on one thing only. But if you have, like most enterprises, you have 10, 15, 20 different things, well, have 10, 15, 20 different agents that perform one task, but really well. We want to have a chef's knife for each task and not a Swiss Army knife that does everything for everyone.
Oh, yeah, please.
What's so cool about what Yashar just said, right? Think about this now. As business people, we've always thought about how do we make it more efficient? So how do we combine different duties into one person? As companies start to downsize, they're thinking about limitations, scarcity point of view. With agentic AI, you actually want thousands of agents. You want thousands of agents, each one doing specific tasks. Why? Number one, because you can track and monitor each step of the process on a much more granular scale. Number two, you can update each agent as needed. Number three, you can mix and match different agents doing different things. Not about efficiency. It's really about coordination and orchestration. And the bigger the orchestra, the better. So this is where agentic AI changes that mental mindset of scarcity into abundance. Now it's like, we can do anything. Now the human comes in and says, how do we do that better, faster, cheaper? And maybe the answer is more agents, not less. So this is where this new world is really changing the paradigm of how we think about business.
So following up on that, on the responsibility aspect of AI agents, who do we blame if AI agent fails? Right? Is it a developer or the manager or the company or the user who is using it? Jerry, wanted to start with you and wanted to go round table for this particular question.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So throw that question at me. Well, first of all, I'll let the lawyers decide who the actual one would be. But at the end of the day, like it or not, it's going to be the company or the firm delivering the value. And it's going to rest on their shoulders. Someone made the decision to employ an agent in that particular field, in that particular part of the workflow, and the human in the loop, the orchestration of that and the monitoring of that agent is going to be the direct owner of accountability for that. That's how I imagine it to evolve initially. In the future, we might see some different things, and it gets very interesting in terms of an entire area of law, that a body of law that hasn't actually been fully developed, but it has to come back to that centralized entity. Now it gets very interesting. What happens when it's decentralized? I'll let Tyrone, who's much smarter about that than I am, talk about that. But this is where it gets very interesting. We're stepping, and this is again, to Tyrone's point, why crypto and AI are such, they're bedfellows that are so interlinked, two sides of the same coin. It's just very interesting. But I think in the short term, it's less about, for the company, you're going to get the blame that deploys AI. The slightly longer answer is work on, just like data breaches, right? It's a matter of when, not whether. What is the PR strategy? What is your disaster recovery strategy? How are you going to react to something like that? Create your own buoy to save yourselves, and to reevaluate your processes should that happen. But in the short term, it's going to be the company and the person orchestrating those AI agents, in my opinion.
Jerry, would like to hear from Tyrone.
Yeah, well, we have an extremely conservative Supreme Court now. You're joking yourself if a case like this isn't going to end up in the Supreme Court or not, because how do you sue code, right? And Jerry mentioned something before about updating agents and all this stuff. Humans are not going to update agents. Agents are going to update themselves. They're going to build one another. They're going to build with one another, for one another. So what happens? Who do you blame then? When this agent created this, right? And we're ahead of you guys in crypto because we're dealing with this now, right? And the administration is starting to give clarity on decentralized exchanges. That is just code. It's just code. So what do you do? So what happens is this is going to get ran all the way up, and there's going to be a big, again, save this part of the webinar. There's going to be a Supreme Court case where something happens. So in the present day, we're dealing with this at 4-1, where we had to have our lawyer draw up a separate agreement for a client that wants us to use ChatGPT for their financial planning. So you're going to disclosure that baby away, right? You're going to give consent, right? You're going to go on and it's going to pop up. Just so you know, this is ran by 1,400 something agent LLC. These agents act in concert, blah, blah, blah. Any mistake or theory that is being completed by the firm is not subject to TechGrit, Turnqey, 401 Advice Analytics, Notora, whatever. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to get disclosed away, but how do you sue code, right? And that's going to end up in the Supreme Court, and we'll see what happens. So that is going to get tricky. You've seen it in crypto, and I think it's an inevitable thing that's going to happen in AI. and we'll see where it goes.
Good to hear that it's already, filling those legal gaps and started getting into the agreements
Yeah.
and the contracts to protect individuals there. Yashar, would like to hear your perspective too.
Yeah. Way I look at it is, and the way we look at it in Notora is that if you don't have a decision graph, if you can't trace back why the agent did what it did, that's on the developer. But if you can, then it's going to be on the person who deployed it without safeguards, right? And so that's why, again, I'm going to go back to what I said, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but each of our agents has a very clear line of what they're supposed to do. They're not equipped, to build other agents. I think that's an amazing thing that I'd love to have, but the implications of it are too risky. If I have an agent that goes out and builds another agent, is it going to build the decision graph? And if it does build an agent, that means that I, as a human or I, as a developer, I actually gave it the instructions to be capable of building those agents. And so that's why, again, human in the loop, as Jerry has said multiple times, we have to have the human in the loop, whether that's the developer that deploys a decision graph or whether that's the person who decides to deploy the agent without safeguards. And so that's why it becomes really important. Part of our onboarding process at Notora is that we don't let everyone come in, at least not yet, to just go through the process and get deployed. We onboard them, we explain to them how it works, we show them how to do it, then we watch them do it. So we learn a lot from that process. But then after that, if they decide to deploy an agent that they built themselves, which by the way they can do 20 seconds or less on our platform, and if it does something it's not supposed to do, that's on them. They're the deployer. They're the ones who decided to have no safeguards in place.
Cool. So now that we covered the control, autonomy, and as well as the trust and responsibility, just shifting the gears onto the big picture view of it, as everybody is thinking what it means for the jobs and skills, right, and so forth, right, from the economic perspective. Yeah, sure. Let's be honest. How many of your jobs could an AI agent do right now? And if you remove the human approval requirements?
Zero. And I'll tell you why I say zero. It's not that I don't think that an agent can't do what I can do. I've mostly worked in product as a product person, right? You have to know jobs to be done. You have to know frameworks like RACE framework. You have to know Moscow. You have to know how to do customer interviews. You have to understand the signal to ratio. You can have a lot of agents doing these, but to have AI do everything that a product manager does, and I've seen some startups out there, they deploy these cutesy agents that they call, here's a product manager, and it does everything that a product manager does, and it replaces the product manager. And I'm using this as an example, right? But does it really? Does it actually understand the nuances of the voice when they're interviewing someone? Does it understand the nuances of someone is frustrated, but the frustration is not shown in how they're using the app, but the frustration is shown in their face when you're interviewing them on camera or in person? Are you able to apply the RACE framework to a certain extent? Sure, you can do that. Is it able to do the jobs to be done framework? Sure, but the human has to be part of that equation, which is why the way I look at it is, are you going to have teams of product managers? Let's say a company of 500 people, maybe they'll need 10 product managers. Now, as a result of AI, they may just need 2, but each product manager might have hundreds of agents, and they keep track of the big vision. They keep track of making sure that these agents are doing what they're supposed to do. It goes through the human approval process. I don't see agents replacing humans. I see them reducing the number of humans that you need, but that means that those humans that are in charge of those agents, they have to know their work damn well. Otherwise, find someone else.
Jerry and Tyrone, what do you guys think? Is it the number 0 is high or low for you?
Go for it, Tyrone.
removing jobs. What do you foresee?
So it's yeah. So being that I have two of them. I say on the wealth management financial side, it could do a lot of the work that we do as financial advisors, and it's helpful, right? So a lot of the back end things that we do, which you're seeing with these AI note takers, right? You don't have to sit there and copy the notes. It can move it to your CRM. There's a lot of back end things that it can do, scheduling meetings, all these things, and it's doing that. What it can't do is what we said is, again, example, we had a client yesterday that had a significant cash position and understand that the cash position was that large because it was a home that she sold that was her parents who passed away, right? So we knew to ask that question and have the correct response around it to get her to separate and understand that. So that can never and will never be replaced. On the turnkey side of things, and I think Jerry will agree, I don't think AI could replace me at Turnqey. I think, and again, I think in my seat, no, because of what, and this is where I think non-technical founders are finally having our day in the sun, Y Combinator, right? We now immediately jump to the front of the line because you can build whatever on Replit, or you could do, you got to sell it, baby. You got to sell it, right? And I love all my technical folks, but they can't sell ice cream in July, right? So I think there's a time right now where those of us that have those, whatever you want to call it, EQ, right, or the ability to sell, market, motivate, lead, right? That is a really high skill set now. But as far as, again, all of the back office things that our investor letter, all those things, automating that and getting that out, yeah, those things could be done. But I think now you can look at your skill set and go, all right, you remove this person from this organization, an AI agent can't replace that person. You're gonna have some really tough board meetings coming up soon, right? Some really tough board meetings coming up soon.
Jerry, what do you think?
Oh, I think that's the what Tyrone mentioned as far as the change in business dynamics is so important. And I'll go back to, because I talked to Yashar about this as well. It's really, oddly enough, right? It's the people who have really high people skills that are going to do really well in the AI era. Think about that. That's kind of counterintuitive, but it's so aligned with the ability to be able to communicate, which is critical, whether it's a prompt or it's reading the room or understanding the context. It's extraordinary how human you have to be to really use AI extraordinarily well. So I find that such an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah, the disruption is happening so fast that people are confused with what kind of a skill sets they need to build on top of their expertise and experience. I know the founders and the entrepreneurs always have something to pick up. Now, what do you guys recommend based on what roles are coming up now from now 6 months to 12 months? What are the roles emerging for in this space, agentic AI based? Yashar, want to start with you to
Yeah.
in Notora.
So I'll tell you what my mindset is for Notora, and I'll compare it to what my mindset was in my early days as a startup founder. In my early days, I always looked at the number of people that we need to bring on board. How many engineers, how many designers, how many product managers, product marketers, etc. That number has dwindled drastically. And you see this with, like, for example, the newest cohort that they're putting together, Y Combinator. Their whole notion, their whole spiel is they want to bring in companies that will be 10 people or less, but will be a $100 billion company in the future. And that is a clear signal for where this is going. It's also where Notora is right now. I'm not saying we're 100 billion, I wish, but we're just two people. It's just me and my co-founder. And yet we've taken on what typically would have taken at least 8 or 9 or 10 people to do, if not more. Mm-hmm. We're doing all the front end, all the back end. We're doing all the marketing. We're doing all the, finding investors, finding customers. In fact, I have our scout agents look for my investors. I have my scout agents look for opportunities that identifies in real time exactly who's hiring for a specific role because they're trying to digitize their company. Because, real example, this is an oil and gas company in Japan, and mm-hmm. they want to bring someone on board to help them onboard some type of AI, generative AI that can help them, have knowledge across the different silos that exist. Hello, Notora AI bridges that gap between the knowledge silos. We're exactly a fit for it. Did I have time to look for it? No. Could I have done so? Sure, after weeks and weeks of research. But now I just have the agent, goes out and does exactly what I need. So what I think the future is going to hold is you're going to have less legacy enterprise companies the way that we see today for the past 30, 40 years, where they have hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands of people. Instead, you might have thousands of companies with just half a dozen or maybe a dozen people at the helm of those organizations. And that'll be it. You won't need to go further than that.
Any comments, Jerry or Tyrone?
Well, we've reached the hot take portion of the webinar, at least from my perspective. So here's the hot take for me. And I'm speaking to all of the CEOs out there that have scaled an organization beyond 20 people. Gather around a campfire. You're going to feel me on this one. Product and development, and that just product. They listen to the devs, and the devs can't build what the product team is demanding, and then something goes out and the customer's pissed, right? And you said it 1,000 times, and the developers did it this way, but product wanted it this way because they're in front of the customer. That is going to end, and here's why. Here's the hot take. You're going to see developers being hired significantly decrease. Product people are going to increase. That's going to invert. I think companies are going to have way more product-minded people than development folks. Now, you're going to have to pay up for superior development talent, because no matter how good that is, you're going to have good, deep architecture people like a TechGrit, right? That knows how to build enterprise grade systems. So when it gets hit, because you can sell whatever, and then it's like, oh yeah, like we built a scale where we're going to have 700 million people a week using this, and then you built on a wet paper towel. That's never going away. You need people who can build enterprise grade, that can stand up from constant demand, right? That's never going out of style, but that's a different type of developer that someone can say, give me a weekend, I'm going to spin up an app. Two different things. So I think you're going to see product people, right? Especially product engineers going to the moon. You're going to see the junior developer completely removed. And you're going to have senior developers that are going to have to expand their skill set in deep architecture building and how to hold up a skyscraper, right, with two hands. So I think that's what we're going to see. And I think what that's going to do, again, firms, like a TechGrit or folks that have been around in legacy of seeing able, when all those API hits are coming in, and being able to segment them and realizing how to save on cost and being able to, work through the night to troubleshoot. That's another thing. Product people aren't the best troubleshooters. They should be, but they're not. That's where customer service people come in, right? But I think you're going to have those product engineers grow, developers shrink, but expertise in deep infrastructure building is going to be at a premium.
Thanks, Tyrone. I know we are eating
Stop that, Jerry.
There are a lot of questions I can ask about. You mentioned the controversial topic about the junior devs, but yeah, Jerry, please go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the, here's the roles that can be enhanced and advanced that require or engage curiosity, learning, communication, contextual awareness. Those are the jobs, sales, those interacting with people, orchestration, those are the jobs that are going to thrive. Because number one, AI is not there yet. Number two, even if AI is going to deliver the right message at the right time, sometimes the recipient wants to hear it from a person. And that's just not going to change. Our DNA, through thousands of years of development, encourages a gregarious type of nature that we like other humans. And that's going to not change. What is going to change is if you want to just sit there and press buttons and answer emails all day and nobody bother you, well, you will get that. Nobody will bother you. Nobody will call you for a job. No, like, you are going to be in a different place. And I want to kind of go back to augment what Tyrone had said in the very beginning, which is where we actually need to start thinking about in terms of all of this is the pipeline. As we start thinking about how we help and train and teach and educate and nurture our children, we have to start thinking about it a different way. It's not rote memorization. It's not times tables. It's access to tools that encourage what the softer skills that we may not have encouraged in the past. So funny. I tell my kids, I'm like, okay, you know that STEM stuff I was telling you to focus on? Stop. Start thinking about literature and reading different things. Be curious, learn, because that's really the type of person that's going to fit in regardless of what agentic AI tools there are. So that to me is, I so loved what Tyrone had said in the very beginning, because that really, just to bring us back to that, we have to start thinking about that next generation across the board, and really encourage the type of skill sets that you call it empathy, or you call it, vibing. That's why it's called vibe coding, right? Being able to ask better questions, being curious. That's so important now. It really, really is.
Cool. Yeah.
So I
please.
saw that you had posted a question from
Yes.
Kevin. Yeah. So Kevin, you had asked if a single AI model's use of agents will be more effective than custom user agents, such as deep research, ChatGPT agent, etc. So here's how I look at that. It's not either or, it's layered. So if we look at a single AI model like ChatGPT, it's incredibly powerful. We all know it for general purpose reasoning. But when it comes to edge cases like domain-specific context or operational workflows, custom user agents are always going to win every time. We've seen this firsthand in Notora. A general agent can summarize a meeting. Great. There's a lot of tools out there that do that. But a custom agent built for your sales team, as an example, can instantly trigger follow-ups that are relevant to that call, update your CRM that are relevant to that call, and flag risk based on the sentimental analysis of the tone of the conversation, right? So the future that I see, that we see at Notora, isn't centralized intelligence. It's modular, composable agents that are powered by strong underlying models. And these are going to be tailored to your unique operating system. And that's why we built Notora. It's how our hypothesis is, and it's how we're deploying it at companies. I hope that answers your question, but I'm keen to hear from Tyrone and Jerry of what their takes are.
I ain't add nothing to that. That's the mic drop. You nailed it. I ain't add nothing to that. No, sir. That's a setup.
Okay. This is awesome. Before we wrap up, I would like to ask one lightning round question here. One thing about agentic AI that's keeping you up at night that you haven't said publicly before. Please, wanted to hear from you, Jerry. want to start with you?
Sure. Man, I think the too few of us humans want to do the work or feel the freedom or have the time to truly innovate and listen. As a human being, my feeling, my view is you got to figure out how you're going to deliver value, whether it's society, whether it's to yourself, whether it's to your family. That's the human condition. And I always go back to kind of an ikigai point of view, right? What does the world need? What do you love to do? Because you have to fulfill your heart and your soul. And what are you good at? Because you have a propensity of things. And then the last part, what will you get paid for? Is it valuable? So there's a perspective that I view there, that whether it's access, whether it's resources, whether it's will, whether it's skill, that there's, to Tyrone's point earlier, that it's those who are like all over it and in it, and they have access to it, and they've got resources. They're leaping far ahead, and so many folks will be left behind. And we are at the great level, the leveler of the playing field opportunity, but not everyone has access to that. Not everyone has the propensity for that, or even knows how to begin. And I think that reaching out to start that is going to be so critical. So that's where I hope for humanity in that context.
Tyrone, what's keeping you up night?
Well, it's a good question, because it's literally keeping me up at night, is that we're not using it enough. And every time, like literally every interaction with my companies every day, I get a pain in my stomach, because I know I'm asking for something that we're going to do manually that AI can do. And it really keeps me, we're just not using it enough. And I think the other thing which every leader needs to worry about is if your team is taking it seriously enough to challenge themselves to use AI to do it. And if I'm being completely honest, I think if I would have to answer no to that. And I consider myself at the tip of the spear in terms of my network, how much I read, how much I use it, and how much I try to learn about it. And the more I do, the more I come back to both of my companies, and I'm incredibly nervous, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, I use ChatGPT to, okay. But yet we're still sitting here going, I got to send you a spreadsheet. You got to go through the spreadsheet or whatever else. And I'm literally sitting in meetings going, AI can do that. AI can do that. AI can do that. AI can do that. So you know what I do? I go use AI, and I come back to the team and go, hey, right? So it's like, so that's annoying. It's frustrating. And it literally keeps me up at night, because I don't think the urgency is there. And what the urgency means to human beings when they're in crisis is, now I have to get uncomfortable. That's health and fitness. That's money. That's technology. That's growing, forcing people to grow, and especially people who are highly educated, who have done well, to go, no, sorry, you got to shelf that Ivy League degree and learn something different here. So I think that's what keeps me up at night. We're just too manual. We're not using it enough.
Thanks, Tyrone. Yashar?
Yeah, I'm going to springboard off of what you said, Tyrone, if I may. What keeps me up at night is that I'm seeing that companies are building agents before they build clarity.
Yes.
And if they don't know what their team should do,
Yep.
AI is just going to make them fail faster. So that's number one. Number two, what we see at Notora is that we purposely built our platform not to be this AGI sci-fi future, but we built it in such a way where it is platform agnostic. Keep using your Excel, keep using Notion, keep using Outlook, keep using Mixpanel, keep using Asana, Jira, Trello, whatever you use, we don't care. Your people, especially my generation and above, we're all to teach. We are set in our ways. We don't like change. We don't like to learn something new, which is why we go the way of the dinosaurs in many ways, right?
Yep. Nailed it.
But yeah, but there is a middle path here. You have Notora sit behind everything. It listens to your conversations. It propels you to take the right action. It pushes information out to your tools. It extracts information contextually when you need it. That's why between here and this future AGI, that's where we fit in. Are we AGI the way that Sam Altman and others are talking about? No. And we're not going to delude anyone to tell them that we are, but we are the middle path. That's where we live. And that's why we're seeing teams that are adopting us. They're like, oh, I don't have to learn anything new. I can still do what I do. And yet their productivity increases by at least tenfold, if not more. So I agree with you, Tyrone. They have to obsess over the fact of, how do I keep up? And if we look at the mandate that the government has today, whether good or bad, is that they're looking at the world. They're like, we have to compete with the world because the world is coming for our lunch or our dinner or both of them and our breakfast and everything in between. And if we don't keep up and we don't do this, we're going to fall behind as a nation.
Thanks, Yashar.
None of
Thanks,
us are doing
everyone.
enough.
For me,
No one's doing enough. No human's doing enough. We got to do more.
I agree.
That's the bottom line. I totally agree.
you nailed it. That's what is keeping me up night, leading the team, TechGrit team, and the tech talent, helping the companies like Turnqey and Advice and the Notoras, as well as some of the regulated, heavy regulations companies where they're not ready yet to move this direction. While serving them, we need to still, be with the legacy and traditional way of doing it and taking the company forward with all the skills that required. That's keeping me awake. And we are running many innovation projects and the upskilling programs and all those things, but need to design that and staying connected, staying relevant to the market. So with that, I think all insightful conversations, what I see is agents are the force. It's a collaborative tools. It's all about we need to design and govern and collaborate, evolve along with it. So with that, thank you again for the insights and thank you for the audience that attended. Please follow Jerry and Tyrone and Yashar and as well as the TechGrit for a recap that we are going to present it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jitendra. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Love the Rockets.
Yep.
That's what I do.